Back in the 90s, cars crumpled like soda cans. Safety? More like wishful thinking. Fast forward to 2025, and you're looking at rolling fortresses with brains. Today, we're tearing through decades of crash tests, from boxy old Chevys to AI-powered Teslas. You'll see how safety tech went from basic seatbelts to full-blown digital co-pilots. Whether you bleed Ford Blue or live electric with Tesla, buckle up. We've got bone-rattling footage, side-by-side tests, and some serious metal carnage. Minus the pain, all the glory. Ready to burn some rubber? Let's roll. Ah, the 90s. Grunge ruled the airwaves. Flip phones were peak tech. And cars? Let's just say, safety wasn't exactly the headliner. Back then, buying a car was like spinning a roulette wheel. Sure, you had airbags, maybe one if you were lucky. Crumple zones? Barely there. Side impact protection? That was still a future feature engineers were scribbling on whiteboards. Crash tests were just starting to go mainstream. The Euro NCAP kicked off in 97. IATI's began really hammering cars with brutal 40% offset frontal impacts at 35 miles per hour. And the results? Let's just say they made headlines for all the wrong reasons. Take the Chevy Cavalier, slammed into a barrier, and the cabin folded like wet cardboard. Ford Mustang? Cool on the street, not so cool when the crash test dummy's legs were crushed like soda cans. Dodge Neon? A two-star death trap, sorry, safety trap. It was basically a go-kart with doors. And forget side airbags. If someone T-boned you in traffic, it was lights out for your door. And maybe your ribs. Doors buckled, pillars snapped, and survival often came down to dumb luck. Drivers weren't just behind the wheel. They were rolling the dice every single day. But here's the thing, this mess of metal and mayhem, it laid the groundwork. Automakers saw the carnage. Regulators clamped down. Engineers got busy. Because once the flaws were exposed, there was no unseeing them, and change had to come fast. After the bruising reality check of the 90s, the 2000s came in like a wake-up call on four wheels. Manufacturers couldn't ignore the footage anymore. Those folding frames and crumpled cabins, bad for business and worse for drivers, so they got to work. Real work. This decade kicked off a full-blown safety revolution. Crash tests got smarter and meaner. It wasn't just about head-on collisions anymore. Now they were hitting cars from the side, flipping them in rollover tests, even simulating pedestrian hits. You couldn't hide behind steel anymore. And with pressure mounting, innovation exploded. Side airbags became standard issue, not luxury. ABS wasn't just for high-end imports. It started showing up in family sedans. And then came the game changer, electronic stability control, a digital co-pilot keeping your car from sliding off the road like it's on buttered glass. Take a look at the 2002 Ford F-150, 4 stars solid as a rock. The Dodge Charger came back into the spotlight with a reinforced structure that could actually take a hit. Honda Accord? Quietly building a rep as the safety nerd that aced every test. Even economy rides started stepping up. Sure, the early 2000s Kia Rio was still a tinny little ride, but by 2009, it had grown a backbone. Safety tech started trickling down fast. The best part? 5-star ratings stopped being bragging rights. They became the bare minimum. You wanted to compete? You had to earn those stars. And just like that, safety wasn't a perk anymore. It was the price of admission. But the 2000s were just the warm-up. Because in the next decade, things didn't just get stronger. They got smarter. So by the end of the 2000s, cars were tougher, safer. But the 2010s, that's when they got a brain. Steel frames were no longer the only defense. Now we had sensors, radars, and cameras watching every angle like a 360-degree bodyguard. Adaptive cruise control took your foot off the pedal. Lane keeping assist nudged you back in line when you drifted. And automatic emergency braking? That system saw danger before you did and slammed the brakes faster than human reflexes ever could. And crash tests? Oh, they leveled up too. The IIHS introduced the dreaded small, overlap frontal crash, hitting just 25% of the front bumper. It tore up weak designs like a can opener. Roof strength, rear impact protection, head restraints. Everything was under the microscope. But the best part, this wasn't just luxury territory anymore. Look at the 2015 Chevy Silverado. Full size, full muscle, and five-star safety across the board. Or the Ram 1500, a workhorse with brains and brawn. The Tesla Model S, all electric, all aluminum, and practically a rolling vault with autopilot on deck. All this tech wasn't just cool, it was effective. Between 2010 and 2020, crash rates in the US dropped by over 30%. That's not marketing, that's real-world impact. And it wasn't just the high-end buyers cashing in. Mid-range sedans, crossovers, even compact SUVs started coming out of the factory loaded with top-tier safety suites. Suddenly, safety wasn't just reactive, it was proactive. Cars didn't just protect you during a crash, they worked to stop it from happening at all. It was the decade cars became vaults on wheels, and they were thinking ahead, not just bracing for impact. But as smart as the 2010s were, they were just laying the digital foundation. Because the 2020s, that's where safety meets science fiction. By the time we hit the 2000s and 20s, cars didn't just react, they predicted. Welcome to the age of AI on wheels, where safety isn't just hardware, it's intelligence. The crash tests, yeah, they leveled up again. Now we're talking battery integrity, thermal runaway, and electric fire resistance. You're not just testing sheet metal anymore, you're testing megapacks of energy sitting under your seat. And these next-gen machines, they passed with flying colors. The Tesla Model Y, designed from the ground up to absorb impact without touching the battery. Ford F-150 Lightning, a work truck built like a tank, scoring 5 stars across the board. Rivian R1T handles crash tests like it's bored. We're not just keeping people safe inside the cabin anymore. We're stopping crashes before they even start. AI-powered systems now monitor the road, the driver, the weather, everything. Lane changes, blind spots, sudden braking, cross-traffic, it's all covered. Some models now reach level 3 or 4 autonomy, meaning the car can take over in traffic or even on highways, with the driver barely touching the wheel. And it's not just physical safety, cybersecurity crash tests are now a thing. Hack-proof driving? Yeah, that's part of your safety rating now. EV batteries, reinforced, cooled, and fireproofed. We're talking zero flame, zero explosion designs even after high-impact crashes. The result? Crash fatality rates are dropping again. Accidents are being prevented, not just survived. Today's top-tier vehicles are rolling fortresses with neural networks, cars that learn, adapt, and protect you in real time. And this tech? It's not reserved for six-figure rides. It's coming standard in pickups, family SUVs, even compact EVs. So here we are, 2025. Cars can see, think, act, and survive. We've come a long way from the crumple cans of the 90s. But where do we go from here? From tin cans on wheels to rolling fortresses with AI smarts? We've come a long way. These safety leaps, they've saved millions of lives. And by 2030, with full autonomy on the horizon, we could see crashes drop to near zero. Now it's your turn. What's your must-have safety feature? Auto braking? Blind spot radar? Full self-driving? Drop it in the comments. Smash that like button. Subscribe for more Gearhead deep dives. And share this with someone still driving a 90s rust bucket. This is the evolution of safety, and we're just getting started.